Welcome back to America Right Now. We're turning again to the Waukesha parade, the parade tragedy, and whether or not it could have been prevented by keeping Darrell Brooks behind bars. Instead, the 39-year-old was out on $1,000 bail after allegedly running over his child's mother with his car at a Milwaukee gas station. Who better to talk to about bail reform and all of these challenges than our legal legend, Alan Dershowitz. He's the host of the podcast, The Dersh Show, and author of The Case for Colorblind Equality in an Age of Identity Politics. Check that book out, folks. Let's welcome Professor Dershowitz. Thanks for being here.
You don't know how right you are by saying that I'm the right person to talk to. I have been writing about bail reform since before you were born. In 1966, I wrote my first article calling for the end of cash bail. Now, I want the end of cash bail. That's a liberal, not a radical position. Let me tell you why.
Okay.
Under cash bail, too many dangerous people raise the money and get out, and too many non-dangerous people can't raise the money and stay in. Money should have nothing to do with bail. A guy like this guy who ran over so many people shouldn't have any bail.
Right.
Any bail at all. Even if they set it at $1 million and he had a rich uncle, he shouldn't be able to get out. The people who are detained should be people who are overwhelmingly likely to flee or commit new crimes. And if they are, no bail. And if they aren't, no bail.
Yep.
Cash should have nothing to do with bail.
Okay. So, Professor Dershowitz, when I talk to, for instance, in New York, where they have abrogated cash bail for over 100 different offenses,
right.
I talked to judges, and they say they have never seen the no-show rate in their courtrooms. What they have seen. I mean, people are just not coming back. And they
weren't coming back when they had $100 bail.
No, but the judges that I'm talking to are saying that you always had drop-off. They have never seen it. They're saying in some of their courts, less than half of the defendants that they have been stripped of their independence to try and hold, that those less than half of those folks are showing back up for their court dates. So where's the middle ground? Because you make an important point, and there is bipartisan support for certain types of criminal justice reform.
Right.
So you make a good point, but where's that middle ground? What's going wrong?
Well, what the middle ground is, you enforce the bail laws. When you let somebody out on their own recognizance, you make it a 5-year crime not to show up, 5 additional years not to show up. You have special police assigned to make sure that people who are out on bail do show up, but you don't expect them to show up for $100 or $300 or $1,000. I've had clients who are billionaires who have been put out on bail for $1 million. $1 million is not going to stop them from running away.
Yeah, you know, Professor, we have an incoming district attorney in New York who has already announced that he's got a whole list of crimes that he's not going to prosecute. We have a Soros-backed DAs in a number of cities who have indicated that they have a no prosecution, no incarceration goal when it comes to a whole host of other offenses. But it's helping to contribute to an environment where the criminals are taking advantage of it. So,
first of all, it's in violation of the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't give district attorneys the right not to prosecute.
That's
what it does is it gives the legislature. If the legislature says we shouldn't prosecute people who jump turnstiles, all right. If the legislature says we shouldn't arrest people who are painting graffiti, okay. But if the legislature says we should, who gives the DA the authority to say not to? Look what happened in San Francisco. I've known Cheshire Boudin since he's like 2 years old. He was the grandson of a very close friend of mine, Leonard Boudin. He's now the very radical DA. He's named after Che Guevara. What do you expect? And so what does he do? He says no more shoplifting. So what happens is a gang of shoplifters together go and they ransack stores all over the city. And he has to go on television and embarrass himself, saying, oh, all right, I'm sorry. Now we'll start going after shoplifters. DAs should have no discretion to decriminalize things that the legislature has made criminal, just like they shouldn't have discretion to make crimes out of things that haven't been made crimes.
Professor,
that's up to the legislature.
Professor, I'm up against a break, but real quick, if they do those things, like the guy in Milwaukee, all right, so if he says, yeah, I'm not gonna prosecute this, and yet it creates that environment, what is the accountability? Could there be criminal or civil liability because they're acting beyond their authority in pulling back from prosecuting these cases for the DA?
In California there is this called recall elections, and I know that Boudin is now being possibly subject to recall elections. You can also get a writ of mandamus against any public official who fails to do their duty. And, they're going to say, look, they were elected on a platform, but, we're the only country in the history of the world that ever elected prosecutors.
Yeah.
Every other civilized country has them civil service. That's what we ought to do in the United States.
All right. Professor Alan Dershowitz, always appreciate your insights, sir. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.